welcome to another episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. I'm your host, Noah Love, and today we will be talking all things college football week 8. A loaded slate of college football. This is going to be my predictions and just my preview. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and without any time to waste, we're just going to jump straight into this. Let's start actually tonight. Louisville at Miami. Miami's an 11.5 point favorite. Friday night game. It's one of those tricky ones. Louisville's not a bad football team. Miller Moss, he's played some good football this year. They're coming off of a bye as well. They lost to Virginia in that overtime game. That was a hard game to lose for them. But look for Miami here. People have been talking about the schedule. You're coming off the Florida State win. They're going to be locked in on what they need to do. Obviously, the ACC is kind of interesting because you have a bunch of undefeated teams there. Look, Miami, this may be their hardest game, maybe at Pitt or at SMU, but I don't think SMU's like what they were last year. Love Kevin Jennings, but I just don't think that's what they were. They are what they were last year. Miami, number 2 team in the nation. Could there be a hangover there? We will see. I don't think so. Because I think Cristobal is going to have his guys ready to play. I think, look, it's weird game, 7 o'clock. I'm not picking Louisville, but it will be closer to than expected. I think Miami, the difference with Miami this year is obviously the trenches in the defense. I think they're going to, even if Beck maybe struggles, which I don't expect him to, I think they'll win this game like 34-20. I think it's a 2-score game, but I do think Louisville competes because Louisville is not that bad of a football program right now, or a football team. And it's going to be a dog fight, I feel like, at times in this game. That's what it's going to feel like. There's also another Friday night game, Nebraska at Minnesota. We'll talk about this quickly because we have so many other games to cover. Look, Nebraska, 25th ranked. They've won some close games. Now Dylan Raiola playing some outstanding football as well. Minnesota is coming off a good win against Purdue. It's a tricky game. It's just it's a tricky game for Nebraska. Again, the Friday night on the road, Minnesota. That's gonna be a packed house. It's gonna be rocking. I know you have the game against USC. I believe it's next week. So is this a little bit, or not next week? Okay, so no look ahead game. So yeah, for Northwestern, they just gotta go out. They just got Northwestern. For Nebraska, they just gotta go out there and they gotta play well. They gotta win. Look, Minnesota, they're always a scrappy team. They're always scrappy. They're physical. They run the football. It's gonna be a fist fight. That's what Minnesota's gonna try to make this. It's not gonna be pretty. It's not gonna be pretty. I give me Nebraska in this football game, though. Not going to be pretty, but I think Nebraska, if Nebraska's really turned that corner, I believe this is a football game they'll win, personally. Let's now get into the Saturday slate. Let's start here. Look, I know it's an unranked matchup, but I believe it's an intriguing matchup. Washington at Michigan. Michigan 5.5 point favorite on Fox. Michigan coming off that tough loss to USC. They're 4-2. Look, to me this is going to be about the two running attacks in this football game. Jonah Coleman and Rutgers. Look, their only loss is to Ohio State this season. In 24-6, they've played well. Look, they were able to come back win at Maryland. They handled Rutgers. Look, Desmond Williams Jr. is playing some good football, but this is going to be their biggest test after the Ohio State game. They're on the road here in the big house. Michigan's trying to bounce back. To me, the key in this game is who will make the more explosive plays, mainly in the run game, because both of these teams run tendencies. Look, Desmond Williams is more experienced than a Bryce Underwood, but Bryce Underwood, he's the younger, more talented player in his position. It's really going to be an interesting game. Honestly, I'm going to go with Michigan to win it. I think Michigan. I think they'll figure it out. Look, I know people are talking about how Michigan isn't as good as they think they are. I kind of agree with that in a way. I just think defensively, look, you're that really up front. It's really tough to replace a guy like a couple guys that they had last year that win the draft, like a Mason Graham, like a Kenneth Grant. It's really hard to replace those guys up front. I think offensively, they're going to need to get better in the receiving room, obviously, because it's not great there. But Bryce Underwood's played some really good ball at times. Obviously, other times he has struggled. But I think they pull it off. I think Michigan wins. I think Michigan wins this game in a 24-17 dogfight. Now, let's get to it. It is Georgia Tech at Duke. I've been on the Georgia Tech agenda bandwagon. This is the one game that scares me. It just scares me because Darian Minsa, really good quarterback. Uh, he's been fantastic, tremendous. I think this is. I really like watching him. I think he is a pro quarterback, an NFL level quarterback. I do believe that. I mean, he's 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions this year. He has a good arm. He can really give you trouble with his legs. Look, I know they lost. They lost to Illinois and Tulane back to back, but then haven't lost a game since then. And they've put up 45, 38, and 45. So the offense is kind of clicking right now. Georgia Tech beat Virginia Tech last week. Offense clicking game they were supposed to win. I'm going to pick Georgia Tech to stave off the upset. But if from a scale of 1 to 10, if they're on upset alert, it's like a 9.5 or a 9. Like, this is one of those games when you're going for an upset, you need a dynamic quarterback and you need guys on the outside to go and make plays. That's what Duke has. You also need to be able to get after the passer. I believe that Duke has that. Yeah, I believe Duke has that. So yeah, but I think it has all the ingredients for upset. But I'm not going to pick it here because I think Georgia Tech, Brent Key. There's just some I think the Wake Forest game may have been like a indicator. Remember, they got lucky. They don't call an offsides there. That should have been game over. You get another chance. You go down. You tie the game. Then you go in overtime and win it. I think if this is the game they got, then it's not going to be surprising. But I don't think it's here yet. I think Georgia Tech finds a way to win on the road. I think they find a way to win 31-30. I think it's that close uh, in this football game. I Duke, Duke is scrappy. Obviously, we've talked about Darian Minsa and how good I think he is. I think he is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the country. I think one, it's because of the conference he plays in and the team he plays for. I'm kind of in the same boat. Not necessarily he's in the same boat as Taylor Green, because even though Taylor Green plays in the SEC, even though he's a very good quarterback, his team's not good. But yeah, and obviously he needs some improvements as well. Taylor Green past couple weeks, but he still played really well. But it's not about Taylor Green right now. It's about Darian Minsa. But I believe Georgia Tech's just going to find a way to pull off the upset. Okay, now let's get into it. Vandy. LSU at Vandy. Noon kickoff on ABC in Nashville. I've been going back and forth on this game all week. I've been going back and forth. And LSU had a very good home win against South Carolina. Still having the same problems. Nussmeier threw terrible red zone interceptions. Still defensively, they've been great all year. Offensively, struggling to run the ball. Offensive line still has issues. Nuss still at times is making dumb decisions. Look, last time they were on the road, they went on the road to Ole Miss, and we saw how that turned out. Now, granted, Ole Miss is not Vandy in terms of the atmosphere and all that. Or I should say Vandy is not Ole Miss in terms of the atmosphere. That's how I should word that. But Vandy, they're more explosive this year. I know against Alabama, it was rough, but they're more explosive in the pass game and in the run game. Now, Blake Baker's going to throw whatever he can at Pavia, whatever exotic blitzes he can. That's what he's going to do. That LSU defense is going to come ready to rock. But Vandy's going to come ready to rock. They have a bad taste in their mouth. They tasted their own blood after you lose to Bama. Then you get a bye, and then you get to come back at home. I think this is one of those. Are you cute little Vandy? Where it's, oh, this is a nice story, Vandy? Or are they the Vandy that's like, yeah, we're legit. I know it's the SEC. I know we're a smaller brand, but we can come in and beat you on any given day, and we establish ourselves as contenders. Is this like that game? I think they're at a crossroads in terms of their program for Clark Lee. This could be a massive, massive win for the program. You beat Bama last year. Is this their Bama game this year potentially? Somewhat there. I'm going for the upset. I'm going Vandy. By the way, Vandy's favored, which is wow. I can't believe we're talking about this for 17th team in the nation. But yeah, give me Vandy to win this football game. Give me Vanderbilt. Give me Vanderbilt to win 28-24. I think Pavia pulls it off against LSU. And also with LSU, I have to see it one more time in terms of on the road to believe it. Because if your O-line is still having the same issues, getting penalties, we're not getting any push at the line of scrimmage. If your offense just does not look crisp, I don't know how much of I can believe in you against the elite teams, because they have talent on offense. Caden Durham, they've got good backs. They've got good wide receivers. On the outside, you got players that can make plays. You just have to get them the football. Like they have big time playmakers on offense. But I'm gonna go Vandy here. Vandy have playmakers as well. I'm going to pick Vandy to pull off what would be an upset in a lot of people's eyes. That's what I'm going to do. I think Vandy pulls it off. Up next, let's go to South Carolina where they take on number 14's ranked Oklahoma. Oklahoma coming off that tough loss to Texas where they just got dominated 23-6. Look, Mateer's had the thumb. It it was still bad. It was still bad. Is he more healthy? I would assume he is. I've been a big guy of John Mateer. They're going on the road to Columbia, Cocktober. This for Oklahoma, if they want to make, I don't want to say if they lose, they miss the playoffs, but this is one of those games where me personally, I feel like in terms of going to the playoff, if you're 6-1 after if you win and you're 6-1 after this, you got a good shot to go because after this, it's a brutal 5 game stretch. It's Ole Miss at home, it's at Tennessee, it's at Alabama, it's Missouri at home, it's LSU at home. So that's a brutal stretch here. And I've been a little higher on Oklahoma than some, mainly John Mateer. I think the defense is really good. I don't know how healthy John Mateer's thumb is. Even the week, I guess you could say maybe he got the rust off. I don't know, but Cocktober, South Carolina. Shane Beamer talked about. He talked about we were 3-3. We beat Oklahoma, and we turned the season around. That's that, and we turned the season around. That's what they did. Can they? Can they do it again? I'm going to say they win. They win this football game. Now, will the season get turned around? I don't know, but I just again, they're another team that's out of crossroads. Have preseason expectations. Sellers has been kind of on and off in terms of his play. They're not the same team from last year, mainly at the front. Shane Beamer said they're improving in areas, which they are. I don't think the defense was bad against LSU. I think South Carolina. It's a tricky environment. Williams Bryce is gonna be rocking. Sellers still, I think, is as good. As good. How can I put this? As physically talented as anybody. I think he still has the ability to take over a game. Give me South Carolina to win and pull off the massive upset in Columbia. Now, let's go to another 3:30 game here. We've got it. Georgia and Ole Miss kicking off. They're kicking off here. 3:30 ABC in Athens. Number 5 Ole Miss at number 9 Georgia. Ole Miss coming off a terrible performance against Washington State. Either this game's going to tell me one of two things. Either Ole Miss just that game against Washington was just like a fever dream where you're just or a nightmare, you should say, in terms of the way they played. Where that game it just overlooked it happened. We were preparing for Georgia, or it could be a sign of yeah, they're kind of overrated. It's kind of what they are. To me, this game is going to be the latter. Some of my keys to the game is this: for Georgia, you got to overcome you gotta overcome. You gotta be better in the first half. You gotta find a way to overcome the not really the onslaught, but the early tidal wave that Ole Miss is gonna bring. To me, if you're Georgia, you got to run the ball and keep Kiffin's offense off the field. You have to do that. Nate, whoever you got to use, whether it is whether it is Nate Frazier or whether it's him, whether it's Josh McCray, whether it's Chauncey Bowens, it doesn't matter. You got to be able to run the football, control the time of possession, keep Lane's offense off the field. That's one. Number two, Ole Miss is going to come at you with tempo. We cannot. If you are Georgia, you cannot get caught trying to sub in and out. I'm pretty sure Kirby's preaching this all week. Get your cleats in the ground and get set. Cause you know Ole Miss, you know what's coming. Tempo, 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 tempo. And they're gonna tempo you to death. All game. They do it every tempo, tempo, tempo. That's what they're gonna do. And Kiffin's gonna try to out scheme you. I do not believe there is a defensive call that Kirby Smart has that Lane does not have something for that in terms of how he could potentially out scheme it and draw it up and beat that specific coverage or blitz or whatever it is. That's what I truly believe. And in this football game for Georgia, it's really we talked about the time of possession, heels and ground. We also cannot have a true freshman right tackle out there that is not playing winning football because this Ole Miss defense has been better. It's not been as atrocious. Yeah, I know the Arkansas game was bad, but that's really the only bad game of the year I think that they've had from a defense perspective. Trinidad Chambliss, they have enough film on him. For Ole Miss, he's gonna have to be a big key. If they're gonna win, he's gonna have to be one of the reasons why. They're gonna have to keep a balance. Try to run the football effectively, obviously, but against a Georgia front, that's easier said than done. And also, I believe this is a game where you just look at Georgia and it's just going to be we're still Georgia. And you're going to be like, Noah, what does that mean? Go back and watch the Texas game. Everybody picked Texas to win, even though it was top 5 matchup. Oh, they don't look the same, can't run the ball. Beck looks terrible, and then Georgia just goes in and they get a big lead and they don't surrender it and they win the game 30-15, even though Texas tries to come back and make it close. I think it's one of these games where it's like, are we as dominant as as we have been in years past? No. But at the end of this day, we're still Georgia. We're going to beat you because we have that championship culture and we just know how to win. And if I'm going to be wrong about this game, it's because I picked against Georgia. Same philosophy for Alabama. Now Alabama won that game. I don't think Ole Miss is going to win this game. I think Georgia's a better football team. I think it's close. I think 7.5 is a little bit too high in terms of the football game, but I do believe Georgia will find a way. Cardiac dogs. They're gonna find a way to win this football game. I believe. Give me Georgia. Gunnar Stockton's also gonna have to be really good in this football game too. Give me the Georgia Bulldogs. Give me that. I'll say 31-25. They find a way to win late. They just do. Again, they were able to do it against Tennessee. They did it against Auburn. And people have to remember, this is a young Georgia team, but this is also a young Ole Miss team as well. So it's going to be interesting both how both these teams react. How both these teams react to the big moment. Look, Ole Miss played at home against LSU, played well. This is really their first real like big game road game. Look, they won on the road at Kentucky. I don't think it's like the same. Georgia at home, they had their home winning streak broken. Let's see what they do. All right, now let's go to the 7 o'clock window because we've got some massive ones. Let's go to Tennessee at Bama. Third Saturday in October. Boy, oh boy, this is gonna be a fantastic game. Bama at home, 7.5 point favorite against Tennessee. I've liked what I've seen from Tennessee of late. Heupel's been able to get the best of Alabama. I believe it was two of the last three, not two of the last three. He's 2-2 in the last four. That's what it is. Uh, look, they're look. This is a game where both offenses are going to score. Like Tennessee's going to score. They score on anybody. I think they're going to be able to run the football because Bama's run defense, I think, is the weakness, and I think that's something that Tennessee can exploit. I really do think that's something Tennessee can exploit in terms of is Kane Womack going to have light boxes? Is he going to have a light box? Are they going to play with light? Because that's what they run against light boxes. That's what the Tennessee Volunteers do. Run against a light box. So look, Kane Womack has made some schematic changes, which is why the defense has been better. A lot of people, again, in this, it's been talked about as Alabama's the best team, but I don't think it's clear. That's my personal opinion. I don't think it's clear. I think the SEC is just a cluster. Ty Simpson, man. If Alabama's going to win this game, it's got to be another great Ty Simpson performance, especially against this defense. I think they can really. I think the weakness of Tennessee is the secondary. You can attack that secondary, and Ryan Williams and Bernard, I think they're gonna be able to have a day against Tennessee's defense. I think there's going to be a lot of big shots taken in this football game because Tennessee, they'll take a big shot on anybody. And Joey Aguilar knows really how to run that system. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think the loser of this game, I don't want to say it's toast for the playoff, but it's bad. I mean, look, Tennessee, even if they lose, they do have Oklahoma and Vandy left. Those are two games you have. Then it's okay. It's Kentucky. It's New Mexico State. It's not. It's not a gauntlet of a schedule for Tennessee. But Bama, if they lose, it's a must win for both. I really do feel like. I mean, look, Bama, because they don't have a loss in the SEC, they can still go to Atlanta if they lose, but then it's kind of like, oh, I have to win out. And look, Bama's played great. I think Bama's most talented team in the country. True, to tell you the truth, but there's something about these Vols that I just love. And I don't know. I may be crazy on this one. DeBoer's never lost that. They've never lost at home in the DeBoer era. That changes, in my opinion. That changes. That changes. Give me the Vols to beat Alabama. I think this is a shootout, and I think Tennessee. I wouldn't say it would be. It'd be the biggest road win of the Heupel era, I think. Give me Tennessee to beat Alabama. Give me Tennessee 35, Alabama 33. Tennessee on the road finds a way. They're able to run the football effectively. They're able to get a balance. I believe they have around 450 total yards. I think Tennessee's gonna find a way to win this football game. I really do. Give me the Vols to shock the tide. Okay, after this, there's a game on at the same time. It's on NBC. Notre Dame at well, USC is going to Notre Dame, rivalry game. Notre Dame's favored by 9.5, too high. Look, I know what people are thinking. Well, Notre Dame's just gonna physicality. They're just gonna bludgeon them to death. I don't know if that's the case because I thought Michigan would do the same thing last week and they didn't. Now Michigan's not Notre Dame, but I do think USC they've improved some things. To me, last week was not the statement win. To me, USC, this will be the statement win if you go on the road to beat Notre Dame. And for Notre Dame, this is a must win. If you lose, your playoff chances are done. It's over. You're done. You're not getting in at 9-3. With no conference championship, with really no great wins. Yeah, get done. So this is a must win for them. They need this game. Look, Mike Denbrock, I think, has done a really good job after the first game of the season in the offense. I think he's done a really good job of making CJ Carr comfortable. I think CJ Carr's done a really good job of processing and seeing what's in front of him. He's been very accurate in tight windows. I think they've done a great job of getting the ball to Jeremiah Lovemore. The defense is young, but it's starting to come into shape for the Irish. But this is going to be the best offense they faced to date because this USC offense, let me tell you, Jay Maeva, slinger, gunslinger. And now, if it looks like they can run the ball, which, by the way, Lincoln Riley teams, I know people don't want to give him credit for that when he was at Oklahoma. They ran the ball more than teams gave him credit for. Well, last week, they were able to run the ball for 224 yards on Michigan. King Miller was incredible last week. They pushed around Michigan last week in that football game. Now, I don't think they'll do that to Notre Dame, though. But I do think, does USC have the ingredients to pull this off? Yes. It's going to be interesting to see Maeva versus that Pat Stephens of Notre Dame because Beck and Marceau Reed both shredded them. So look, we will see. Look, Boise, not a great pass offense. NC State, not the greatest pass offense in the world. But I'm going to go with Notre Dame to win. I really do feel like Notre Dame at home must win. They know it. They keep the college football playoff hopes alive, and they continue to just win. Give me the Fighting Irish. Notre Dame 33, USC 27. It's a close one. It's a battle. It's a tug of war in the rivalry. I think Notre Dame wins. And lastly, Holy War. We're not changing the name. Holy War. Utah at BYU. Ranked matchup. 8 o'clock. Fox. Let's get it. I think this is going to be a really good game. I think Utah is a really good team. I think they're the second best team in the Big 12 in my opinion. But we'll really see because I believe these are the second and third best teams in the Big 12. So we will see BYU coming off of the win against Arizona. BYU has just found ways to win this season. At Colorado, they're down. They win. They dominate West Virginia, but then you're at Arizona, double overtime. You win. People can say it hasn't been impressive, whatever. Utah, they blew out Arizona State, but Arizona State did not have Levitt. So we will see in terms of this football game and how it goes. To me, the difference is going to have to be Devon Dampier, and he's going to have to use his legs a, a lot. Look, last time he faced a really, really good defense. He struggled, but Texas Tech is just bludgeoning teams. But that's not the point here. I think this is going to be an all-out war, no pun intended. Give me. I've been really racking my brain with this one. Give me the Utes. I think Utah finds a way to win at BYU. I think Utah establishes himself as Cincinnati. You're really good. Iowa State, really good. We're the second best team, and we're coming back, and we're gonna try to get that rematch with Texas Tech. We are on a mission. So I think Utah on the road, especially after the controversy last year, uh, when BYU came to them and they felt like they got robbed. I believe Utah finds a way to win in this game. Give me the Utes to win. I'll say this, they win 20-14. I think they win that way. All right, everybody. This has been my college football week 8 predictions video. It's a stacked week. Had a good time recording this. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. The takeaways video of college football will probably be up Monday at some point, and then the NFL will probably takeaways video will probably be up Tuesday after. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for joining me, and until the next time, see ya.